This is everything that goes into post-production when I'm editing a project. So I'm gonna walk you guys through literally my entire project structure, where I keep media, how my files are set up, and then what it looks like inside the project. So to start, it's always date and then the title of the project. So this is 2025 NAZ Elite. The project that we're going to go through is my most recent documentary that I made. And so we have all these different project files: After Effects, Lightroom, Premiere. We're gonna go into Premiere and open this up. Buffer. Sun's going down. You know what that means? Werewolves come out. Wait, you don't believe in werewolves? So we open up the project file, and the very first thing is when you look in the project file, it's the exact same as when you look at Finder, right? So you have O1 media, you have O1 media, and then you have everything laid out by date, everything laid out by date. This is very specific to if something's documentary, if something's a race, then it's date and the race. Same thing in here, race, date, and the race. And so the biggest thing that I've learned in my post-production process is I want an 8-year-old to be able to look at this and figure something out, so that if you are sharing files, if you're having multiple people work on it, everything is in sync and everything is always in the same place where it needs to be. In the project file, we drop down, mine looks like sequences, and then I have sequence templates already built out for every size that I would ever need. So I have a 9x16, I have a 1x1, I have a 4x5, and I have multiple 16x9 build outs. Then I go into the 16x9 folder, I go to Docu because this is a documentary, and now we get into the fun part of it, building out our string. And so usually I would take this template, I would copy and paste into where it needs to be. I'll put it into here, right? You see template right here, and then I change the name. And so this would be O1 draft. This film is called Invisible String. So we would type that out. I'm not gonna do it right now. You get the gist. And then when we open that up, let me find the very first draft of what this looked like. So this is it. I've pulled a few interviews and just laid them out sequentially until about 10 minutes. And so one massive thing that I learned is, especially when you are working on big projects, when you make a change or when you go in and make an edit and then you are done, you want to have a copy of that timeline. So I would take this O1 draft, I would copy and paste it into this folder, and I would then title it O2 draft. Now the next time I'm editing, I go into O2 and I'm editing on that file, or on that string, excuse me. So then if I need to go back or see where changes were made, or if this is for a client and they say, oh, can we make this revision? But then they end up not liking that revision and going back to the original, you can go right back to that O1. And so this was a 30-minute documentary. So here's O2, here's O3. This is me writing out what I want to happen later on in the film after 10 minutes. And then after all that, you get to, this is number 25 draft. And it is pretty built out. And then once it's no longer a draft, it's the final, you go O1 final. Then we had to make a few revisions on the final, and so we actually ended on O5 final is the final export of this project in particular. And so that means that I created 30 strings to edit this project. For my entire production process, I use Milanote. I love it. It is a great way to have everything laid out in front of you. And so this is where all of my interview questions are. This is where all the gear that is needed is listed. This is where all the locations that we're going to shoot at is listed out. All of the head contacts, everything that would ever need to be touched on in this film lies in this Milanote document. And so this is also where we've laid out our mood board. This is where we've laid out how the edit is going to look like. And so I am referring to Milanote. I'm going back and forth saying, okay, what did we have in the pre-production process? What does this edit look like? What is it looking like now? Is it following that? Is it changing at all? And so I really want to make sure that the story is sequential, the story is making sense. And usually stories are already outlined pretty fully in the Milanote, and so referring back to that is huge. Obviously, things are going to change, but having that baseline is massive when you're making a 30+ minute piece. Okay, because Andrew, the guy who sits behind the cameras and makes all this awesome content, give him a follow. He says that I'm fucking weird that all my Adobe is on white. I love it because what everybody watches videos and sees photos on is white. And so my Photoshop, my Lightroom, and my Premiere all have white backgrounds, and it's fucking sick. One thing that is a constant throughout every single video project that I edit, whether it is a 15-second one-off for Instagram or a 30-minute documentary, is color coding my footage. And so I have set up my keyboard. You can change your keyboard settings in Premiere keyboard shortcuts to where 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 all represent a different color for me because I use color coding in every single one of my selects. So right now we have a select open from a race, the Ottawa Marathon. And when you see this blue, that is B-roll. So anything blue is just insignificant footage or B-roll. And when I say insignificant footage, I mean in interviews, if it's not a quote that we're going to use, I would label it this light blue. Then we go to this bright green, and that is a must-use footage, whether that's in an interview or just in a normal shoot. Like this day, I'm just shooting these two runners throughout the day. Green is a must-use, whether it's an amazing quote or just a great shot. Green is must-have. And then this pink is kind of in between. The pink shows the story. It is a good shot. It's a good quote. It's something that we definitely want to use, but there's definitely going to be more pink than green, and we might not use pink. And then that is how the person who I learned color coding from, those were the 3 that I learned. I've actually evolved it, and I can go into it. I then have this kind of turquoise, and that's a really good piece of B-roll. And so it mixes the green and the blue, right? We have blue as B-roll, we have green as amazing shot. And then if you mix the blue and the green, that's a really good piece of B-roll. And then I also have yellow for, I'm probably not going to use this clip for the footage, but the audio might be really good. I have orange if it's a match cut. And then I have tan if that's just like a funny piece of footage. Maybe it's just like a little one-off I want to send the client as outside the scope of work. Maybe it's something I want to save for myself. Tan isn't something we're going to use in the project, but it's definitely something that is entertaining, is funny, that I might refer back to. And then another thing that I do pretty often, not all the time, but definitely on a big project like this, is just give myself a little text label on what this stuff is about. And so if you can see here, I zoom in, that's a really big zoom, and now I can't go back or I can't find it, whatever. This says interviews right here. Right here it says press conference. Right here it says Mercy Media. Mercy was one of the runners, so it was all about her, that media. This says drone. And so I just know from a quick glance of this 20 minutes worth of selects, oh, if I need to find B-roll of Mercy, I can see this Mercy Media right here. I can zoom in to the blue and hear some B-roll of her. If I'm not using natural sound and I need sound effects or I need music, I'm always going to Artlist.io. I have been using them for over a year now, and they're amazing on both fronts. They do a lot more than just sound and music, but that's really what I use them for. And so anything music on anything I'm exporting, I always have in my contracts that it's going to be audio licensed from a software or a service like Artlist, so that, you know, I'm not stepping on any toes in terms of copyright. And so any music, any extra sound effects I need, I'm going to Artlist.io. It's super easy. They even have a plugin for Premiere now, so I can just get Artlist right here. It says I'm offline, I am, but I can just drag and drop right from their Artlist library in Premiere. Now it's time for the export. Pick where your file is going to go. Again, super detailed exports. If it's a final, if it's a draft, if it's a Lightroom or a Photoshop export, we go into final, we go into Docu, Page and Mercy, and then we go into final, and we're going to put it right there. Then once we export, personally, I've used Dropbox for many years. I've never had a problem with it. So I rock with Dropbox. Again, all of my files and all of my organization is going to look the same. So we have the same outline in Dropbox. We have this finals folder. We have the draft folder. We have a Premiere Lightroom folder. So it's going to go into the Premiere final folder. We're going to upload this, and then we can share the link directly with the client, and we're ready to go. That is my entire post-production process. That's what went down for the making of my newest documentary. Go check it out, Invisible String. And I appreciate you watching.